been putting off making this video for quite some time now because I was hoping that something would happen and I wouldn't have to do this. This is really difficult for me, so bear with me. I'm a sexual abuse survivor, and 3 years ago, I shared a post on Facebook, a Me Too post, and it was the first time that I publicly shared that I was sexually abused as a child. I didn't mention any names or give any details. For people who know me, and even for people who don't, but who are part of the community that I'm from in Cape Town, what I'm going to say is probably going to come as a shock to many of you. I was sexually abused by my paternal grandfather, Gasant and his twin brother, Goosain, is also a child molester. They have abused girls for decades. There are women who are now in their 50s, in their 40s, in their 30s, in their 20s. There are girls who are teenagers who have been abused. Abuse occurred last year in 2019. And since then, over the past year, I have spoken to many others who have been abused by these men. I was 5 when the abuse started, and at the time, I thought that I was the only one being abused by Gasant, and someone close to me, close in age as well, was being abused by Goosain. I don't want to put it out so publicly what happened to me and many others, but the abuse didn't stop, and these men are or have never been held accountable. They've abused girls in the family, in their wives' families. And I know that it's very easy for people not to believe it because of who they are and how well they're respected, the things that they've done for the community. Last year, I thought that finally something would be done. Because whenever I would bring it up or talk about it, I was told to get over it, it's in the past, that they're old, they're going to die soon. They're 85 years old right now. It's been decades and nothing has ever been done. So I'm asking you to not have your kids tutored by them. I'm asking you to not visit them. I know that it's hard for a lot of people to accept because maybe they've helped you or they've helped your children with their education. They come across as trustworthy and charismatic. And even after having conversations with people and telling them what these men have done, I got responses like, oh, but they've done so much for the community. It doesn't matter what they've done for the community. It doesn't negate the abuse. It doesn't make it okay. And I think that there's a misconception or a lack of understanding when sexual abuse is mentioned. There's a lack of understanding around what grooming is, how they get you to trust them. What I'm about to share, I don't want you to think of me. I want you to think of a child that you care about. Your child, your younger sister, your niece. I'm still trying to talk about it without really feeling shame or guilt. And I try to remind myself that I was just a child and didn't understand what was happening. But I would be pinned to the bed and he would hold my wrists above my head. And his knees would be pushing onto my thighs and I couldn't move. He would say things like, "Let's kiss like they do in the movies." He would lock me in the garage. I've woken up without underwear. In my first journal, I talk about things like going to the cinema to go and watch Shrek. And I have Backstreet Boys stickers. But there are entries where I'm scared, and I mentioned that my own grandfather how he touches me and that he wants to have sex with me even though I had no concept of what any of these things were. Those are just some of the things that occurred. I have never felt that kind of pain, knowing that it's continued. I wish that I could have done something sooner. Especially because there are so many of us who think that we were the only ones abused, either by Gasant or Goosain. And I'm so sorry for that. I don't feel that I owe anyone my trauma narrative, and under different circumstances I wouldn't be sharing so much so publicly. If I was the only one abused, but I'm doing this so that it stops. I'm not asking for anything other than for you to just keep your children away from these men. To stop respecting them or asking them to give speeches at schools or weddings. When I said last year that I would make it public, that I had enough, I was lied to and told that they would be, or specifically Gasant, would be under house arrest. All of these were lies, and I found out that they were at schools and they're photographed with girls during the time that house arrest was supposed to be taking place. And I found this online. It's an article and it's dated and everything. I was told that there's nothing that I can do. So this is all that I have. And I refuse to be guilted or shamed or threatened into being silent. Because all these years, all that silence has done is empower the abusers. So I'm not asking for anything. I'm not asking for some call to violence or anything like that. I'm just asking you to protect your children. Before I end this video, I want to make it very clear that I can take whatever backlash and hate comes my way, because I've been broken a million times over, especially this past year, and there's nothing that anyone can say at this point that would ever make me feel that keeping silent is the right thing. It is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But I would do it over again if it means that the abuse stops.